justice for all. All please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. We have quorum. I'll note that we're being live streamed right now. We're also being recorded for our internal purposes of compiling the minutes. And to that, anybody having business before the board, I'd ask that they please approach the bench and speak clearly into the microphone. Row officer reports and comments. Looking out at the audience today, I'm not seeing any row officers or representatives of row officers. Public comments. Any member of the public wishing to make comment? JR, all good?
All good.
All good.
I will do a staff report then.
Sorry. Fiscal and contractual, we have a couple repository properties up today.
Okay.
Pull those up here. The first one will be resolution 2022-151.
151.
This is Justin Data, who actually happens to be the Shenango Township Code Enforcement Officer. For $500 for the repository property located at South Jefferson Street and South Newcastle Borough, it's not Newcastle City. Parcel ID number 19-058500. I'll note that this has been approved by the South Newcastle Borough Council.
School district.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see that, right?
Not, I don't, according to this, I don't think the borough responded.
Okay.
We got a letter from Tish saying that the borough has not responded.
All right, there you go. From Shenango School District,
Yes.
and the borough has not responded. I'll take a motion to approve 151.
So moved.
Second. A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 152. I'll note these next two, and thank you, JR, for bringing this to my attention, are mobile homes. There is no land associated with these purchases. It is simply the mobile home structure. So I want to clarify for these next two. That's what's before us right now. But this one is 152 is from Douglas McKibben in the amount of $500 for the property located at 153 Cleveland Mill Road, having parcel ID number 26-902474. Again, this is not land. This is just the mobile home, and this has been signed off on by the North Beaver Township supervisors. Doesn't look like Mohawk responded. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 153. Another mobile home for Sonia Stanley in the amount of $1,000 bid for the property located at 155 Foster Road, parcel ID number 35-903242. Again, this is a mobile home. Just the structure itself, there's no land associated with this one. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
The second.
Your motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Good with those. Up next, we have a number of warrant registers dated July 7, July 5, June 30, and June 27. I'll give my colleagues a minute to check those over, then we'll take a motion to accept and file the warrant registers or not.
So moved.
Second.
Good motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor? Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, approval of the minutes from Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. And again, I'll give my colleagues a minute to check those over.
Seems like such a long time ago.
It does.
Right?
Like an eternity.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
All the damn repository properties.
Yes.
Cool. I'll note here, looks like there is on number 9, it says motion carried 0-3. It should be motion fails. on number 9 on the repository property. See what I'm saying? So fails, and there might be one more of those.
There were 3, I think.
I think the other 2 were near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one at the end, very back page, fails.
I knew there was some that we,
Yeah, we have, I think 2 failed because we merged them.
You're right.
So there should be 2 of those that should be corrected as fails.
those corrections, so moved. To accept.
Second, we have motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have some written communications today, 2 specific written communications. One is from Buchanan Ingersoll, application for Department of Transportation to alter the crossing where State Route 288 at Wampum Bridge crosses over and above the track of CSX Transportation in the township of Wayne, Lawrence County. Applicants, this is your Secretary Chiavetta of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. I didn't realize they were a secretary, individual in charge of hockey. But thank you for notice of inspection to be conducted on July 12th, 2022 in connection with the above captioned proceeding. Please be advised that John Sogrich, representing Ameripol, Chris will be representing Ameripol, his contact information is below. So they're doing some work at that.
Great.
And then number 2 is from, looks like, the Commonwealth Transportation Office. It states, dear property owner, Lawrence County is the property owner here. In line with DOT's responsibility to develop plans for highway improvements in your area, department employees or our consultants or contractors may need to enter your land in order to conduct surveys, engineering studies, soil exploration, and or tests and soundings to gather information. This entry is authorized by the Pennsylvania Eminent Domain Code and may include the use of core drilling rigs and or other equipment. And I'll note this is a property that we own located on East Washington Street, I believe. Yes, in the city of Newcastle. Any questions, comments on either of those? No. I'll take a motion to accept and file correspondence.
So moved.
Second, the motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reports, staff reports. JR, do you have anything above and beyond what's already on the agenda?
Yes.
What do you got?
My biannual report of our interim billing. Pleased to announce that we've added just under 8.7 million in assessment to the tax rolls for 2022, which will equate to about $72,000 tax revenue that is unbudgeted. This is for improvements that the assessment office has picked up, whether it's by staff or through the sketch detection project between January 1st and June 30th. To date, since we adopted the interim billing, pleased to announce that the county has added almost $1.8 million of county tax revenue that is unbudgeted every year. So I'll give you a copy of that report. And then also, just to give a little update on that sketch detection project, which we are anticipating to be completed by the end of the calendar year. The project has reviewed 17,142 parcels within the county, making an assessment change of $39.7 million of property within Lawrence County, which would equate to about $330,165 in county tax. That has been spread out for the last 3 years. It started in 2019 with the previous board of commissioners. COVID delayed everything substantially, otherwise we would have had it done a little sooner than later. But and well worth itself. We paid the contractors for $150,000, and we've already recruited $330 at one time, and this is a rolling tax dollar every year. So we're adding $330,000 pretty much every year.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner reports and comments. Unless anybody has any questions, comments for JR.
Thank you.
Commissioner
I'm sorry, is there one for each of us here?
Yeah,
or-
I just did one. If you want to.
Oh, I'll look at it and then
Yeah.
I'll pass it down. Thank you.
Or, yeah, if you use my hand, maybe to Vanessa too, and we'll just make copies.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Cause I'm not gonna read it, I got the verbal.
Right.
Commissioner reports and comments, Laura, do you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
All right, there we go. I got a couple just on broadband. Two things. I went down to that SPC meeting with Duquesne Communications I want to say it was last Thursday, maybe 2 Thursdays, probably 2 Thursdays ago now, I'm thinking about it. And there's currently a middle mile program through the Fed, which allows for broadband deployment, not necessarily getting it from one entirely serviced spot to one entirely underserviced spot, and not necessarily the laterals going into homes, but for stretches which are not serviced by broadband, would be easily connected to other branches of broadband fiber. And the two projects that SPC is looking at, one is along Route 18, starting potentially, and this is still being fleshed out, Amy's involved in it at this point, she's helping spearhead that. Potentially from the top of Route 18 in Williamson Township all the way down through the west, all the way down 18 to the West Virginia border in Greene County. And the other that's being considered for an application through Southwest Pennsylvania Commission is from over in Armstrong County near Katanning, across US 422 into the city of Newcastle. And so those two projects are being fleshed out right now. Whether or not it does end up starting at the top of 18 or whether it starts in Beaver, they're looking at a whole bunch of different data points. The SPC is contracted with Baker Young to help them out with their data analytics of that. But Amy's working on that right now. Very good meeting. And the theory is the more counties we can get involved in it, the more competitive the application will be to the Fed.
Yes.
So SPC's bulldogging that. The other thing is it relates to broadband. This actually came up during the meeting that I was at. Is we need to put together and pull together I hate to use the word study because I generally have an aversion to studies, but we need to pull together a study relating to specific, they call them polygons, which are areas of underserviced or underserved residents and housing clusters and business clusters. We need to map out where those areas are, and then in addition, what we need to do is we need to go in and say, okay, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
We need to go in and say, okay, if we've got $1 million that we could potentially spend or get from federal funding streams or state funding streams, where does it make most sense to deploy that $1 million? In other words, for $1 million, can we get 5,000 houses online here versus 1,000 houses online here? Greene County has done that very successfully, and as a result, they've been able to tap into literally tens of millions of dollars worth of broadband funding. So I asked for, and Commissioner Belding down in Greene sent me over all the RFP materials that they used to pull together their initial planning documents. I'd like to have Amy and Jason and myself prepare an RFP to send out to entities like Baker Young, start pulling together that planning infrastructure so that we're in a position to be able to chase after this money. Because I can tell you, sitting in that meeting with Greene County, Mike Belding's able to spit off, I can get 5,000 houses online here, I can get 2,000 houses online here, we're gonna get this high speed, and I'm sitting there and I got nothing. I know we can do it, but I don't know where's the best deploy would be and where we're gonna get the most bang for the buck. So is that all right with both of you if I pull together that RFP, knowing that if we decide to submit, to issue it, and if we decide to enter into a contract with anyone, we can also pay for it with American Rescue Plan funding.
Absolutely. Did anything come from, I remember, since time is flying so quickly, was it with Penn State Extension? Was there some basic work that was done? Is that going to be able to be used?
So that will be a component of this, but what we really need to
I
identify.
figured it would have to be more precise
It's
as far as location.
it's less so much, we know where it's underserved and not served. What we don't know is what the cost point per house, per underserved area is going to be, and where that most effective allocation of resources would be. Because obviously, as much as we'd love to get everybody in the county online broadband, there's only so many dollars. And so the question that we're gonna have, as opposed to saying, okay, We want to get Enid Valley online, which we know is an underserviced area. And we want to get Wilmington online, which we know is an underserviced area, where would be most cost effective, right? That's what we need. So they're going to use that Penn State data, which is largely derived from current existing FCC data. And they're going to use SPC's data, and they're going to use to basically pull together and say, hey, if we're going to phase a broadband approach in Lawrence County, here should be the first phase, the second phase, the third phase, the fourth phase. And at that point, we've got, 95% or 90% of all houses online, 100 up, 100 down broadband.
Very good. Okay.
Dan.
Well, I didn't have anything to report, but now I do, because you triggered two things. On the proposed 422 corridor, I'm hoping in your capacity and in your leadership, maybe you can advocate that they keep going on 422 to the Ohio line, just a thought. Because I heard you say they would stop in the city, so maybe if we could say to them, well, if you can add an extra 8 or 9 miles to that.
Sure.
And then, and I'm sure you each have this as well, but I've got a small list up in my office of a couple places in the county where people have said to me, we are underserved. And it may tie in with all the data that we end up finding, but I do have one of the persons lives in Pulaski Township, one's in Wilmington Township, and one's in New Beaver Borough. So I'm hanging on to that list of people with whom I've spoken that have said, boy, we'd love to see some enhancements. So I'll keep that in my mind. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Now that we've acknowledged we have a problem with broadband in the county.
First step in solving any problem is identifying that the problem exists.
We're still not as bad off as a lot of counties, but we still have a ways to go.
Absolutely.
What's amazing is you have something denser county, Washington County, for example. Which, the city of Washington's obviously a fairly dense population sector, but then you get to South Washington, which is where a lot of broadband work is currently being done, and they've got nothing.
Right.
For a very large swath. Our worst areas are in the Eden Valley area, New Beaver Borough, that sort of southwest quadrant, maybe southwest eighth of the county. We're poor in sort of a T that is from the Mitchell Road exit on 376 up to the Pulaski exit and then over. We're poor in that area, and I think a lot of that's just derivative, candidly, that those utility companies are looking and saying, well, why the hell would we expand there? Half the people are Amish, and they're not going to get all the money.
Right, true.
And then the other area that we're poor in, the area immediately surrounding not Quaker Falls, McConnell's Mill, just because the terrain there makes it difficult to deploy. But yeah, you're right. And now, that being said, even the areas where we are pretty good in broadband, there's a lot of funding there to get that 100 up, 100 down speed, which would be ideal for businesses or residents looking to locate in Lawrence County, where it might only be, 25 up or 25 down, 2 up now, or 50, down, 25 up. And the money out there right now is just pouring in for the stuff. And we certainly want to get our fair
as
share.
much of it as we can, that's right, yes.
Because if we don't get it, Philly's getting it.
Someone else will get it, that's absolutely right.
But no, absolutely, I'll make sure to mention that.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have our new resolution portion of the circus. We have JR again with 2022-154. JR, what do we have going on here today?
In front of you is a resolution to hire White Realty Advisors as an expert witness, as an appraiser. The Lawrence County Economic Development Corporation filed an assessment appeal in the fall of 2021 regarding the Millennium Park property. So we are now up in the common pleas level to which we needed to hire an expert witness to counteract the LCEDC's expert witness. So the assessment office sent out 3 requests for bids for this. This is considered a professional service, so an RFP is not necessary. I contacted 3 appraisal firms that we worked pretty closely with over at least my tenure the last 20 years. 2 of them have submitted a return, and White Realty Advisors was the one that myself and the solicitor for the school district and the township, along with James and the county solicitor, agreed with. Mr. White seems to have a specialization in industrial properties and consider Millennium Park an industrial park. He was the ideal candidate, plus he was more reasonable than the other candidate.
Now, where it says cost not to exceed 5,000, is that exclusive to Lawrence County or is that comprehensive of all three tax
That's
bodies?
all three taxing bodies. And the cost is split based off of the proration of the millage, so the school will pay the most, then the county.
Right,
and the
okay.
township.
So this is gonna cost us $1,500.
Yes. Now, this fee does not include any testimony if it does get that far. So there will be, that is in quote, which I do believe you do have copies of. Or if I believe it is $300 an hour. But the first round of testimony is included in the fee. For which the other candidate, there was no testimony included.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, questions, comments?
Just one last thing to mention, we did hire Mr. White when we were in court with the CMEX property down Walton Road.
You asked the question I was going to ask, and I appreciate you doing that. Not to put you on the spot or not to embarrass you, please, but do you think it might be appropriate to abstain since you do sit on the foundation board? I don't know the answer to that. And again, I don't mean to embarrass you.
No,
But-
I would,
Okay,
I would,
okay.
sure.
I didn't know if you'd talked to Mr. Madore or not, but
I haven't, but the thought did cross my
Okay.
mind that I should do that,
okay,
because I think the motion will carry anyway.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In that case, any other questions? Dan, I'll take a motion.
I will move for adoption of resolution 154.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel,
Abstain.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Thanks, Joe.
If I can make one other comment, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to mention it, but both the Neshannock Township and the school district have already approved white realty appraisers. I usually say that in advance because Dan always doesn't want to act on it until.
it says that in the resolution, which is why I didn't ask you.
My guess is we're probably gonna need the guy's testimony. I'm
Yeah.
guessing this is probably gonna be going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thorough as always.
Where? Okay. All right. All right.
All right, we're gonna go next to 2022-155. This is a holdover from, I don't wanna say last meeting where we approved a number of those forced distribution allocations for the municipalities. Taylor Township submitted one a little bit late to the party, but late's better than never.
Right.
And so this is allocating under that forced distribution process, $5,574.19 to help Taylor Township repair culverts on English Hollow Road in Grand Avenue. Questions, comments on that?
On a related note, and I'm certainly in favor of this, we do have a pending request. We'll need to talk about it. I'm not going to propose anything today, but would remind you that Wayne Township has submitted a request to us for support for a culvert that has caved in on one of their roads that's required them to close. Sounds very similar to what happened up on Means Road in Wilmington Township. And again, I'm not proposing anything today, but I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that there are residents in Wayne Township right now that are having to detour because of this road closure.
And I don't know when the last, but Wayne Township as a whole, we've helped them, and I'm open to considering it, but we've helped them numerous times due to a lack of their ability to maintain their bridges and culverts and waiting until the last minute, having an emergency situation and us coming in and effectively bailing them out. I'm starting to come to the end of my patience with the township as it relates to that, because we've given them a substantial amount of money because they haven't been able to put together a decent capital plan. But again, I'm open to have the conversation, certainly.
Thank you.
I'll take a motion for 155.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion to second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
yes,
Commissioner Boyd,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. 156. This is a settlement agreement with Jonathan Gwynn relating to his severance from the sheriff's office. This has been mediated, might be the right term, through our PCOMP insurance. PCOMP, right?
Pete Court.
I always get the two confused.
I know.
P Corp insurance, which will be taking on the vast majority of the settlement agreement. Questions, comments on this? I'll take a motion to approve 156.
So moved.
Second, I will make just very brief comment that just for the record, the solicitor has reviewed this and has recommended that we take this action, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Thank you. I again, second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 2022-157. This is relates to the Federated Library Board. They want to appoint Philip Tramdak of Newcastle to represent the Newcastle Public Library on the Lawrence County Federated Library System Board of Directors. Vanessa, how long is this gentleman served?
I don't have record of that,
Okay.
in front of me. It's upstairs. If you want me to run up, I can.
I don't think it's been that long.
Okay.
I don't, for example, when Steve and Bob were here, I don't recall that being a name that would come before us every, is it a 3-year term? Yeah, it's a 3-year term. Oh, does it ring a bell to you?
Yeah, I think he's fairly new. This
Yeah,
might be his.
this might be his only second time.
I'll vote yes. And part of the reason for that is, number one, you guys give me a little bit of, I'm good. But also, the Federated Library Board is a major policy-making instrument of the county, board.
Right.
It'd be a lot, I had to run up with the development authority.
I think it's only his second.
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll vote for it.
Okay.
I'll take a motion to, unless there are any questions, comments, 157.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we just have some budget amendments here. First on deck, the warden's been doing a great job over at the jail of leasing out space for inmate housing for other counties. We're devoting the income from that to helping maintain some of the facilities over at the jail. So we've seen a $36,000 increase in revenue, and we're putting a $36,000 into jail maintenance and repairs. So we're increasing both there. That's 158. Questions, comments on that?
No. I would just comment and agree with you that he has truly stepped to the plate and just one by one addressing the issues and problems that they face at the jail. So that's great.
Take a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, this is a little bit more complicated resolution. It's one of those ones that flows money through multiple different funds. So again, just trust me on it. The controller put it together if it gives anybody any solace. But we have some shared forfeiture funding that we want to get to offset some DA overtime.
Mhm.
And so what we do here is we're increasing the shared forfeiture funding expense account. We're transferring some money to the general fund. The resolution, what it does is it reallocates forfeiture funding and gets into the general fund that we can use for overtime. I'm not even gonna try to go over the accounting
It makes
mechanism.
sense, just that easily.
Yeah, so I'll take, unless there are any
Yes.
questions, comments, I'll do one for 159.
So moved.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, 2022-160. What we're doing here is we're increasing prior year fund balance of $20,000 in our Marcellus Legacy Fund and increasing our general admin fund by $20,000 to use towards some repairs out at Savage and out at Quaker Falls. There's a little bit more money in the fund than anticipated, and so we're able to draw down the fund balance with those unbudgeted monies to help cover those repairs. Questions, comments on that?
No.
I'll take a motion for 160.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, we have 161, we're moving some money from our contingency to maintenance and repairs. I forget exactly what this was for. It might have been for the closet that we're building upstairs.
Okay.
It might have been for, is that what it was for? Yeah, the closet that we're working on upstairs. and the cost associated with the construction of that storage closet. So we're moving some money back to maintenance. So it's 161. Questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number of administrative transfers here. 10,000 from ID administration to advertising. Advertising expenses being a little higher than they anticipated. And again, that's the vast bulk of that funding comes from the states. They're just moving money around as necessary to accommodate the needs of mental health. Moving some district attorneys off from transcripts to travel expense prisoner. We just have some outstanding travel expenses for prisoner transport. Jail contingency to jail medical expense. This is that P something that we
right.
received. That we Pinnock. Yeah, we're members of. I mean, I don't even know what it exactly is, but it's for jail medical. It's for providing medical services to inmates.
It's for Act 22.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, it's inmates. Medical expenses.
There we go.
Yep.
$900 controller contingency to travel and training. They went to a seminar and some miscellaneous travel. Contingency accounts out of MHDS, again, some travel and training expenses, some association due expenses. Contingency account out of the treasurer's office, moving $600 to land building rental from their contingency. We got a customer request 40 years of tax receipts.
Jeez.
And so they had to go down to the mines and pull all that.
Oh, my God.
That's just great.
Yeah.
$3,000 from contracted services legal to contracted services. Some invoices that we hadn't paid from last year outstanding, so we're moving some money around in children and youth to cover those. And that's what we have. A through H. Questions, comments on those?
No.
I'll take a motion to approve administrative transfers A through H.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. For the resolution on the table, would you guys be all right to leave that on the table for another week?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I don't think we have any chance to
No
review
pressure.
it, right,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
You get that.
We'll deal with that later.
Okay.
We have no ordinance on the table for introduction or final action. Next commissioners meeting will be, that's when we don't cancel it, will be the 19th at 10 a.m. in this room. There'll be a planning commission meeting at IBEW in Shannick Township at July 13th at noon. There will be a prison board meeting at July 20th in this room at noon. And we have a West Central Job Partnership Governing Board meeting today at 1:30, also in this room. Dan, thanks for reminding me of that. Any additional comments from my colleagues?
No, sir.
Nothing here.
All right, Vanessa, Joe, you both good? All right, any additional public comments? Seeing none, I will adjourn the Orange County Board of Commissioners.
Very good.
Hello, ladies.
Hi again.
Oh, we're still on.
Uh-huh.
Joe will take care of that.
Yes.